it's time for the papers now. Let's see what the headlines are this morning. And I have with me via Skype the CEO, CKN News, Chris Ndengwandu. Chris, good morning. It's good to have you join me.
Ogamai, good morning, sir. How
good
are
morning.
you?
Good morning. It's good to see you in your car. Well, I know you're on your way somewhere, but we have to do this somehow. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Let's start by looking at what the Daily Trust says this morning. Daily Trust says COVID-19, our self-isolation policy has failed. That's the federal government saying this. It was designed to fail. Experts are trying to lash on that. Quarantine replaces self-isolation. States urged to build 300-bed centers, treat patients with dignity. Security operatives accused of aiding interstate travels will support science-based cure. All right, these are all things you see on the front page on the Daily Trust. Now, Blueprint is what we see next, and is on the violation of interstate travels. You say worries federal government has displaced Majoraya move to Cross River and Ondo. He certainly has some other headline or sub-lines there. From there, let's go to the News Direct. COVID-19 is still the focus. Minister admits failure of initial self-isolation policy. It says patients will not be treated by herbal doctors, and Nigeria records highest cases of 381, and 10 aides of Songolu test positive. All that you see on the front page of News Direct. Now, national economy is the next paper we're looking at right now. Africa's travel and tour industry seeks $10 billion relief to rescue sector. Yes, UN foresees 80% international tourism plunge due to the pandemic. All right. Then we go to Leadership newspaper now. Coronavirus, certainly, 44 million Africans will be infected if, and now their condition, the WHO warns here, and predicts 190,000 deaths, many years of virus spread. Okay, and PMB waives VAT on medical items. You see all that on the front page of the Leadership. Daily Times is next, and is still on COVID-19. Federal government warns against unauthorized treatment and warns patients to follow healthcare providers' recommendations. Says 21 labs now operational for COVID-19 testing nationwide. Okay. Now, Chris, let me take you to the story on the first paper we looked at, Daily Trust. Daily Trust says our self-isolation policy has failed. As far as they said, if we have to go by this headline, how worried are you that it seems the federal government is frustrated that they give an instruction and it's not being followed, and it seems there's nothing they can do about it?
Mike, I totally agree with you and the statement by the federal government. It's obvious that our policy on the issue of COVID-19 is not being followed to the letter, unlike what is happening across the globe. When an instruction is given by the government, citizens have no reason not to abide by such, because the pandemic, as we've seen across the globe, is a deadly disease. But the problem is that our people don't seem to understand, or don't want to understand, or don't want to believe that there's a problem. Everybody's talking about hunger. We are hungry. We are forgetting that it's only a living that we be able to eat. If we are not alive, there's no way you can be able to eat. So when the federal government and the state government roll out the some kind of instruction in terms of protocols and the rest of them for Nigerians to observe, but Nigerians still refuse to. But my problem is not really about Nigerians' inability to be able to do that. I think our problem has been that of enforcement. We are not enforcing as we should, like what is happening across the globe. Most often than not, we see our security agencies not doing what they're supposed to do. They see people violating this movement. When there's a lockdown, allowed vehicles to pass. Even as much as we have an interstate lockdown, you still see vehicles finding their way into various states. How do they get there? If the security agencies are supposed to man the borders, various borders of the states, are not doing what they are supposed to, so how are these vehicles? I'm not talking of just the little vehicles. I'm talking of trailers. I'm talking of high-ton trailers and big vehicles moving from one state to another. How do they pass? Definitely trailers are, if you say that the other vehicles probably might be passing through the bush parts, are trailers passing through the bush parts? See what happened in Abia State, see what's happening in Cross River State, even in Kaduna State, people moving in trailers from Kano to Kano, from Kano to Kaduna. And so it's a big problem. I think our problem is that of enforcement, first and foremost. Then we can also talk about Nigerians not listening. What do you expect the government to do? The federal government have been making as much noise as possible. The enlightenment have been there. It's all over TV, it's all over radio, it's on newspapers, it's on social media. The PTF is on a daily basis having the press conference, informing Nigerians and telling Nigerians what to do. But our people just refuse to listen. And that to me is a problem. And I also think that we're too much in a hurry to have unlocked Lagos, Abuja, and Ogun State. That shouldn't be the way, irrespective of whatever. But I think we unlock so easily.
Okay, now, but on the other hand, a lot of people have said that the security operatives who are the arm or the physical presence of government are complicit in all of this because they are the ones to assess government, or they are the part of government that should ensure the compliance of these restrictions. Do you think the security agencies understand the situation or the enormity of the issues on ground?
It's either they don't understand, which I doubt, or they're just being mischievous. I also believe that we are not enforcing as much as we should do. Probably we are leaving so much to chance with the police. The police are overwhelmed. In other countries, I've seen situations where in Spain, in Italy, in India, where the military were moved out. For the first time, I just believe that we should be able to use the military, especially the army, as part of this enforcement. Most often, Nigerians don't respect the police. And that's the fact, that's the problem we are having. Nigerians don't respect the police. They see the police as just one of those security agents, and that's just, once you get where you get to them, you can just have a way and talk to them or whatever, give them whatever they want. But our security, I think we need to increase the capacity of our enforcement. I know the problem we're having in the Northeast with the Boko Haram and insecurity and the rest of them. But what we are having now is an unseen enemy. We are going through an unseen war. Not that of Boko Haram. This is a war. The coronavirus, the COVID-19 is an enemy that none of us see. And the problem is that once it affects someone, then the possibility of averting it. And apart from that, Mike, also look at the protocols. Yes, washing of hands, but how many of our people are using the face masks as recommended? You see people walking around the streets and they still don't believe that there's need for them to. Some will tell you that it's even irritating them, that is giving them some level of discomfort, and the rest of them. That is why some now uses as more like a social and a social thing. You see them put it by their mouth, not covering their nose, and they're moving around. It's a big problem. It's a huge problem.
All right. Well, when it comes to the people, certainly it is said, based on academic theories, that people would only, to a great extent, do a thing, especially when it comes to a work or all of those, if they know there's going to be consequences or there's going to be an incentive on one hand. But going beyond there, another issue that worries government and the federal government is the story on the front page of the blueprint, which talks about our Marjorie movement from place to place. Now, recently, you will recall that the federal government was planning to talk to states to avoid the issue of deportation, if you have to use that word, of our Marjories from one state to another. How does this compound the situation?
My personal opinion, I feel that the movement and the deportation, as we put it, quote and unquote, of our Marjorie is a ill-timed. It's very, very ill-timed for me. The northern governor shouldn't have engaged in that now. If you have their Marjories, all you need to do is take them off the street, wherever they are, and put them in a place, a safe place. This is not, you are talking about, it was the Nigerian Governors Forum that agreed there's going to be an interstate lockdown for 14 days. And it is the same governors that are now moving people from one state to another under the basis of their taking out Marjories and the rest of them. Why are you taking them to other states? Is that not interstate movement? So if you are doing that, you're also encouraging people to also move. That policy by the northern governors It's ill time. I see what is happening. They are not just moving from their state. They on their own are now moving. The government, apart from the government moving them to their various states and whatever, they are now moving on their own. They are in Lagos. They are moving to Lagos. They are moving to Abia. They are moving to Cross River. They are moving to Rivers. They are moving every part of the country. All of them are moving, and that is the reason. To me, that's a shortfall in governance. It is ill time. For now, let them find a way of keeping them wherever they are, take care of them. And I was just saying yesterday, the palliative that government said they are distributing to people, which I'm not saying, most people are saying they're not getting it. Why don't you use it? Like the one that the federal government said, they are not going to be feeding children, school children from home, at their home. How are you going to do that? Why don't you channel those resources into feeding these imaginary children, wherever they are? Look at the number of coronavirus. Some of the governor of Kaduna State said for those sent to Kaduna, about over 50 were COVID-19 positive. The same thing all over the state. So what it means that as they are moving from where they are to another places, there's a possibility that they are going with them, with that virus, and they're going to infect people. So many people that are not aware. And that is going to be a big problem for us. So for me, I think the federal government should stand down on this and ask the northern state governors to just wait for now on the movement of their marjories. That is a big problem for us now.
All right. Let's focus on the issue of enlightenment and awareness creation now. A lot of people have agreed that self-awareness is even key to all of these things in the first place, and it's certainly going to make the work of the security agencies easier. It's going to make the work of the government easier if people are really aware. A lot of messages have gone out on the TV, on the radio, and even social media. But beyond all of those, we've not seen the commensurate impact. And away from the cities of Abuja and Lagos and Port Harcourt, and maybe Kano and Kaduna and a few other places, if you go to the hinterlands, some people have never even heard anything called COVID-19. Now, there is the call to even start using the issues of town criers in such kind of towns for people to understand in their own languages. What do you make of this?
I totally agree. The problem we are having is also, as I said before, failure in governance. Mike, you and I quite remember that in our days, our secondary school days and during our youth service, we used to what used to be MAMSA. You remember very well?
Exactly.
MAMSA. The effectiveness of, we have an agency called NOA, National Orientation Agency, under the Federal Ministry of Information. Now, yes, what is that? What is that agency? What is the job of that agency? I have never seen them. They've not done a single thing. And the funniest part of it, Mike, is that this agency have offices in the 774 local governments in Nigeria. Yes. Those are supposed to be used as a vehicle to be able to convey these messages. Because come to think of it, Mike, if you go to my village in Umungobo in Imo State, how many of the villagers, of my people in the village, have access to television to be able to watch? Yes, some of them have radio and the rest of them. But the easiest way to be able to reach them, especially those in the is through these agencies. But what do we have? This agency, I don't know whether it was a deliberate attempt by the federal government to totally kill that agency, or those at the affair of that agency don't even know what they are supposed to do. I have never seen one single information coming from that agency, and that's supposed to be they are supposed to be the main carrier of this information. Then, Mike, also, I think we're also having some kind of serious challenges with the utterances of some of our top religious men. Some of the utterances they've been making, that sends a lot of wrong signals to people, especially that there. When you say that, well, if market has been open, why don't you open the churches? That is a wrong information, because the congregations and members will pick up that information. And how our people behave. Whatever some of those people say is like God speaking. In fact, they listen to them even more than God. So when you say that there is no need for you to close churches since people are going to market, people will take it like that and decide to want to do what they want to. So those are the information. I think our religious leaders need to be talked to and be enlightened that.
All right.
If you realize what happened in South Korea, that in this case, that particular case that went to church and invited thousands and thousands of people. So I think there's a need for us to be able to rejig our system, and also be able to inform our people properly.
Okay. Chris K. Ndengwandu, thank you so much for your time on the program. Thank you.